Dome. You've heard of the soccer elements here in St. Louis, as well as the Big 12 conference, Big 10 conference. Those are the kind of customers that Croghan Sports serves. And we're basically problem solvers for those kinds of institutions. We go in and we help them unwind problems that they may have gotten themselves into, but more often than not, we're there to help them sort of work through a problem that by no fault of their own they have to deal with. That's what we do. We're problem solvers. We sell our services, and then we solve and we sell and solve, etc. I was with the St. Louis Cardinals for 13 years. That's really where I started my career. I led the marketing efforts there. And that term marketing, is you're learning, can be quite a large area of responsibility. The specific business units that fell under marketing include selling the stadium advertising that you would see if you came into the ballpark, the behind the home plate signage that not a lot of people see, but if you're watching the broadcast, you see that. That was really an initiative that was mine, and it was based upon understanding that we had people not only in the ballpark, but we had a big sports audience, and we had expected that audience to grow, and it did. And so those are the kind of business units that I had, along with some ticket sales and selling suites, and then getting back into how do we use the stadium on days when the team is not in town, and also how do we use that stadium when the team isn't doing so well, when we have a down cycle for a year or two or three, and we've got this big asset. Depending upon the size of the stadium, it could be anywhere from 45,000 all the way up to a 70,000 seat stadium in the St. Louis area. And how do we use that asset to make a meaningful contribution to the community and to serve folks here in the St. Louis area, but also get some revenue? So that's was my responsibility as well. I was recruited from the Cardinals at the time that we were working. When I say we, the St. Louis community was working to pull the Rams from the West Coast and bring them here, and they began their season in 1995 here in St. Louis. And I transitioned from the Cardinals then just right down the street and called a second stadium home, and I was there for about 12 years. So 25 years working for teams and stadiums, and then after that went on and started my own firm, and now I'm in the business of helping students. I'm at that stage in my career where I really like giving back, and it's why I'm here today. And so I'm going to try to hit this next button, if that's okay with you, and take a chance that this will be the right one, and it wasn't. I'll try this button. I may need you to help me with that because it's singing a song to me. So this is a fine shot of a building. And this gives you a little bit more of a flavor into what I'm doing right now and why I'm here. And that is the Webster University campus here in St. Louis, and in particular, it's a building in which I operate. My classes are in there. And I do this because I use it as a platform to tell you about our business program. And I'm selling to you right now. What I'm trying to do is introduce you to an institution that is a stone's throw away from Brentwood. Same with Ladue. Whether it's U City, Clayton, you're not very far away from Webster University, and it may seem to you as a small institution, but the fact of the matter is we're global. We're the only one in this area that has institutions all over the world, and we're on the African continent, we're in Europe, we're in Asia. We're pretty powerful, but here this institution is right in your backyard, and you may be thinking of ones that have come with a little bit more cachet, and that could be the zoo because of the SEC. Maybe not. Maybe you're thinking of getting out of here, and your sights are set on Yale. It could be that you want Ivy League, or perhaps you just want to go, you know what, I'm going out west. And if I could be anywhere, I would be on the Pacific Coast. You get what I'm talking about. But I wanted to make sure that you knew about us. If you could hit that next slide for me, please. The elements that I want to make sure that you understand are part and parcel of what makes, I think, a meaningful marketing plan. So if you're looking to develop a plan, what I try to do when I come and speak to students is I try to make sure I tell them what I'm doing. I try to make sure that I explain to them what the value propositions are, and I try to tell you exactly what it is that I am doing so that you can either subscribe to what I'm telling you or not. But if you subscribe to it, I think that you'll find that some of the techniques that I'm going to use can be helpful for you when you're doing presentations. And it gets to these concepts called value proposition. And why are we good? And what makes us so strong? And that's what I'm trying to make sure I do right now to talk about Webster, but also make sure that you leverage whatever businesses that you're going to either have to write about or come up with a marketing plan for. You need to use the tried and true techniques that are based on the 4 Ps, and I know that all of you know what those are, right? That's elementary stuff, isn't it? Price, product, promotion, place. And some from an academic standpoint, there's a couple of more Ps, but for those 4 Ps, they have stood the test of time, and they have been effective for me my entire life, and they continue to be, and I would tell you to make sure that you understand those 4 Ps, because if you do, at the most granular level, the foundational level, you can build upon those and learn more and become very, very effective at what you do. If you have a desire to be a CEO, you have got to make sure that you understand exactly what your marketing team and your marketing people are doing, just as you would want to have an idea of what the financial people are doing and what's happening on the accounting side. You've got to understand the marketing side of the ledger. So our program, here are our value propositions. We are powerful. We are all over the world. The Walker School of Business is terribly, terribly strong. And the reason that I can say that, I can testify to that, is because it gets jobs. They graduate and the job, I don't even know if within the first 6 months, we're probably at something like 98% of the students are getting jobs. In other words, the employers know about us. And so that is a very compelling proposition, particularly if you're going to throw down some coin on an institution. Just make sure you, if nothing else, use Webster University as a comparative analysis against what it is that you're going to do and where you're going to go. Our program is a professional sports and global entertainment business focused degree. And that's a fancy way of, we're going to make sure that you understand what's happening in the premiership, how important it is for you to know what Sky Sports is doing against what's happening in Fox Sports Midwest, and how the Sinclair group has come in, and then after the Sinclair group, now we got Bally's, and I'll even talk about that in just a second. We work to help you get you internships, because you need to get internships if you're going to be in the sports entertainment business. You want that for if no other reason is getting connectivity with those that are already in the industry. Wherever it is that you go, and whatever you do as you move forward, get the internship. Physicians have internships, for goodness sake. You should do that too for a business or marketing or whatever platform it is that you think that you're going to pursue in your life. Get the internships, because that has to do with connectivity, and that is important. You probably heard that your entire life and you completely understand it. And I'm just trying to affirm to you that you should do it. But I better be able to help you get connected with promoters, and I better be able to make sure I can get you connected with folks that are in the sports industry. And if we could for just a second, we're going to go rapid fire now, and I'm going to get really into the meat of this presentation. This that I'm showing you here is called a testimonial. And you probably know what testimonials are. And if you do, that's good. And testimonials are, and I use them in my presentation because I'm using someone that's in the industry. And in this case, it's a man by the name of Pat Hagen. Pat Hagen owns the Pageant Theater. You know what a pageant theater is? You probably all have been to the pageant theater. And it is a top 10 theater when ranked against other theaters of its capacity across the United States. that is a theater that you want to route to if you are a musician or you're a promoter that's in the business of bringing in talent. You want to play the pageant. It's a beautiful place. And Pat happens to be a friend of mine. And he said, I want to see your program. And I said, I'm glad that you do, because I'd like to hear what you think. And what Pat said is right here. He said, Webster University's sports and entertainment program is a great educational advantage for students wishing to pursue careers on the business side of live music and entertainment. And that's from Pat Hagen. Now, the reason that I tell you about this is because this is better coming from Pat Hagen than it kind of is coming from me. I'm just this bald-headed dude who's standing in front of you going on about, hey, you ought to listen to what it is that I have to say. But using a testimonial, it happens all the time. You hear it when I'm so-and-so and I wanted to go buy a vehicle at this place. And that's fine. A testimonial can work. But to the extent that you can get someone or get a company that's powerful to vouch for what it is that you are selling, that's compelling and it's very meaningful, and that is part and parcel of the 4 Ps. It's the promotional aspect. So don't ever, when you're building your programs out, make sure you keep that testimonial component in your back pocket, because it can change minds and then help make you successful. The next slide, okay, that I want to show you has to do with, okay, man, okay, you say, you're telling me, you're selling to me that our program is this or is that. You said internships. You mean you actually, your university can deliver up positions within the sports community? Yeah, well, prove it to me. So once again, I'm telling you exactly what it is that I'm doing, because I want to help you understand how to sell. And so if you'll hit this next button, you're going to see a testimonial that I think is compelling.
My dream was to work for the St. Louis Blues. Webster University gave me the professional tools I needed to make my childhood dream.
You know, I hire Webster University grads because they're above industry standards.
I chose Webster University due to their flexibility with online classes. I was able to continue working in further education.
Yeah, I'm sorry that the sound is a little bit light, but what you were able to see is that just until a couple of months ago, your St. Louis Blues, the champions, the Stanley Cup champions, they have hired people. And those are examples of our graduates that are working for the Blues. Again, from a marketing standpoint, using a testimonial and using brands like the St. Louis Blues to want to deliver, that's really compelling to me. So I hope that I've sort of not beaten that up too much, but from a marketing plan and from a sales standpoint, I'm telling you exactly what it is that I'm doing. And now what I want to do, Justin, is go to this next slide. And if anybody's interested in our program, I'd be remiss in not telling you then, so you can send me an email, Jack at WebsterUniversitySports.com, and I'll send you all the information we have, because I would be delighted to have champions like this group. Okay, I know the students here. I grew up, okay, right on the border, okay, of Ladue and Brentwood, right where Tillis Park is. So I know U City, I know this area like the back of my hand, and I know the students that, and the kids that grew up, because I was one of them. Strong, and those are the kind of students Webster likes, because what we can do is then help propel you up to the next level. And so this is just me saying to you, I've got, if you can fill this out and send you some information. Now this next slide, let's get into the reason that I'm here, and I'm standing here with a mask on, and I got this out, no matter how many times I brush my teeth, it's like I got mule breath, man. I don't even know. I hate this doggone thing. I don't really think it's mule breath, but it's not the finest thing to anyway. So I want to talk about COVID, all right, and what it's done, but I don't want to the industry, but I don't want to talk to you about COVID and just go, oh gosh, it's been terrible. We can't get to the game, I can't sell a ticket. We're at the mercy of the governmental authorities, and how many ICU beds are available versus are we going to start a run on them if we have people here. I'm not going to get into some of that. You get that kind of stuff. You get it better than me. You know, friends and family that have had to deal with this COVID stuff. And the last thing I want to do is go on to about how it's impacted sports, other than to say some really interesting things have developed because of COVID that will be meaningful as we go forward. And I just want to walk through those with you, if that's okay today. And so this next slide that we're going to put up is interesting. And essentially, I can stand back here and read it. But if we take ourselves back in time, 3 quarters ago, let's just go back to, here we are in February, March, and we're going, what is going on? Everything is beginning to shut down. How do we get a hold of what's happening with this pandemic? Now we got a mess on our hands. Well, one of the things that occurred, and you saw it firsthand, is that at least the major professional sports leagues go, oh my God, I mean, we knew that we needed broadcast revenue to keep us going. But one thing's for sure, we never, ever anticipated, ever in our wildest dreams, did we think we would be completely shut down and we wouldn't sell ticket one. And your St. Louis Cardinals averaged $1.7 million in ticket sales per game. To do a little extrapolation, 81 times 1.7 million, and tell me how much that is on an annual basis. You said that is some pain. Okay, all of a sudden, if you're pulling that kind of money out and you've got a player payroll, okay, well, whatever you think about player payrolls, there's one way to look at it from an accounting standpoint, okay? Player payrolls, they're an expense. And so if you're losing the revenue that you use to pay your players, you go, oh my gosh, we got to do something. How do we deal with the CBA? But I won't get into that right now. The point of it was, you lost the tickets. Then you also lost the food and beverage aspect. And perhaps you were a team, and the Cardinals used to be a team when I was there that we owned the parking garages too. The Cardinals don't own those anymore. We sold them all. But the revenue stream from parking was so significant, and it was significant not only from our games, but also because of monthly parking that we would sell when the team wasn't playing, which was usually in the evenings and weekends. During the day, well, we were selling those spaces basically 2 times a day. I mean, it was a remarkable revenue stream from a parking standpoint, food and beverage. Well, that ended. And that really got a variety of those that are the thinkers within the industry going, what are we going to do if this is prolonged? We didn't know. None of us knew if there was going to be any kind of a vaccine. We thought that there could be a vaccine, but we were unsure about it going back in 3 quarters ago. It really frightened everybody across the world, but this particular industry is going, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And by the way, the entertainment industry stopped. No touring. Nobody's toured. There's, not just absolutely stopped. So that industry is in a bit of a world of hurt, but I'll talk about that in just a second. The thing I wanted to talk about is that a fancy way of saying what do we do to get more revenue going, not only in a pandemic situation, but going forward. How are we going to get some more money? We can't do this again. And a fancy way of saying, a way to approach it is gamified viewership. And that can come in a variety of different ways, okay? It can be you deciding immediately that you want to pay for 4 or 5 more different camera angles, for example. It could come in another way. Maybe you're going to get a particular fan kind of a commentary. But the biggest one is gambling. And that, okay, is really, really meaningful. And in fact, this year with your St. Louis Cardinals and your St. Louis Blues, because the Fox Sports Midwest group, okay, they were that Fox Sports Regional Sports Network, that was sold off to a new company. And this new company, okay, Sinclair, has gotten together with Bally. And Bally is a sports book. And the way that Sinclair and Bally have come together, okay, which is very, very creative, is basically to rebrand Fox Sports Midwest And they may call it Bally's. Who knows what they're going to call it? But it's going to be Bally's something, because Bally's, they can take your money as a licensed sports book, and they can, if you want to gamble with them, you can. You know what they, go ahead.
I just got a question about that. So aside from the business side of how you get more revenue in a different way,
Yeah.
what about the ethics, right? So then, I don't know, and often, but I saw something that you wrote about how you really are ads and now it's sort of accessible. Is there any concerns about that ethical side?
Yeah, plenty, because what has always been the vein of sports, and it's a brilliant question, because the vein of sports has been, will someone cheat that's on the field? And let's go, you've heard of the Black Sox scandal, right, going into the early 1900s, and it was part of the White Sox, and their players were throwing games. And so in other words, that ball's coming out to, this is an easy one to beat, and then goes through their legs, whatever it might be, okay? Pitcher throws something over somebody's head, when that pitcher is absolutely threatened you with the ball. That dance that has occurred for 100 years plus, I call it the dance of gambling exists, okay? And certainly sports books existed in Las Vegas for the longest time. But the league, and the league has been studying what are the chances of someone, from an ethics standpoint, throwing a game. I'm not sure if you're thinking of it in that way, or if you're thinking about what about that person that called themselves football or whatever. But that's always been a tough dance that they have done. That the United States has watched, however, they've watched what's happened in Europe and in Asia. Is anyone a Premier Chip fan here that follows? If you're watching the game, say it's a Saturday morning, in fact, Tottenham played today, and I think they were in Australia, and they should have smoked Austria. They should have smoked that club, and I think they ended up at a 3-3 tie. I was listening to it over here. But if you look at Premiership and soccer games, what do you see on their jerseys, okay, or on the side patch that's on their jersey, or what's going around on the digital boards? You see advertising for that, for sports book. And you would almost go to yourself, well, if with all that advertising about sports, I mean, someone that's unethical, to your point, worse, criminal, tries to get to one of the players and says, no, I found out something about you. I'm going to make it clear that I'm going to let that information go out unless, Goldie, you make sure that there are at least 2 goals scored tonight's game. And that, I think, is what we were asking about. And so the answer to that game, to it has been, I don't know how you deal with it, other than at the highest levels, having an understanding that it is criminal if you throw in. You're going to do some time. I can go on about this forever. What basically has happened is that a better way to say it is the United States. Okay, the states have changed their thinking about gambling, and therefore what leagues are beginning to do, and their partners in this case, Sinclair Valley, are saying we're going to go forward with it because it is not against the law. It used to be. Now, players playing the game is different. I'm hoping I'm making myself clear here. But what you're going to be seeing soon, to your question, you're going to see an app of some kind, okay, with a brand on it, it's going to say you can basically either watch the game or you get on your phone through the app, and you're laying off cash money against. Okay, if you got him leader, you'll be able to throw this guy out. Whatever you want to come up with, is Goldschmidt going to go long? I don't know. Is he going to go get order on this one? Anything that you possibly may want to bet on, that's the approach that this new Valleys and Sinclair model is all about. It is to engage you. It's gamify viewership. And you are the target market. Maybe not yet. You can't bet legally here in Missouri, but you can on the east side. I guess you could use some some geofencing technology. And the phone would say, you got to tell us where you are. If you're on this side, or that I don't understand. But gamified viewership, okay, is absolutely on the upswing. Thank you for asking the question. Did I make some sense at all? It is a crazy, ethically, the ethics of it are, you're going to have to be the judge. And the public is going to have to be the judge. But right now, it doesn't appear that the pushback is so significant that a million letters have been written to the Cardinals saying, don't do this deal. Don't do it. We don't like it. I don't think that they're hearing that. Maybe they're beginning to, but I don't know. I find it quite an interesting study. And for me, it doesn't even matter what I think. What I try to do is teach students like you to go, you help figure this out, because you are the ones that are going forward that really need to weigh in and help do this. So we'll go to the next slide if that's okay. One of the things that I thought was really cool from a creative standpoint, now let's take ourselves back for just a second, way back to March. Yeah, I know, it's like, what? That's not very far. But when things shut down again, no broadcast, games weren't even being played. We're trying to figure out about bubbles. What marketing folks were doing within the offices of the broadcasters, also within the leagues, and also the athletes themselves, they were figuring out what do we do, to find a way to keep our product out there, and not only out there in terms of servicing our fans, but maybe we could do some things that might be creative and make some new things. I want to give you an example of what I thought was quite interesting, and this aired in March or April of last year, and it happens to involve NASCAR, the NASCAR drivers, broadcasting, and then also esports. And this I thought was quite creative, and it actually was broadcast on Fox and on NBC, and the announcers were broadcasting the drivers doing an e-car race. And you're going, yeah, I get that. I know these kind of games. Well, I thought it was pretty creative, and I actually watched the thing and thought that, hey, this is kind of fun. So I'm going to play you an example of go ahead and hit the button. Here it is. This is an example of this speed race.
What happened? I got bullet. Well, man, this is worse than real life. These guys are getting 150 line race. Come on, Bubba! Stupid thing.
Let's go back and take a look at this. You see Boyer running the bottom, comes up, Boyer, I don't know, you might want to watch the replay, because it looked to me like he came up on Bubba. You gotta rewind. It was way back on purpose. I mean, already read. Just like in the real world, we didn't go back quite far enough on that replay. Yeah, I was already tore up. So that was pretty bad.
So just that little snippet, it may not feel, in fact, it's almost ridiculous to take a look at it now, because sports are up and running to a relative degree. But back then, okay, way back 8-9 months ago, nothing was happening. I was shopping for Australian rules football, and I bought the package, watched one game, and the next day they shut it down, and I think I lost my $50. But I was shopping for anything that would be competitive at a high level, and so that's why I wanted to show you that, because there was some creativity coming out of the leagues. But in other words, the leagues don't have players. We have broadcasters. Nobody's doing anything. Let's put this out for people to watch. So if we could, for just a second, this is going to be very, very hard for you to see. For the most part, I've been focused on sports, but something really interesting happened that correlates not only with the shutdown of sports, but also entertainment. And a very interesting company called One Plan. They're out of London, and they picked up some clients around the world. In fact, they're up for like the #1 and newest and finest technological startup to come out of COVID. At any rate, what COVID-19 did, okay, is again, it forced people to become entrepreneurs and to think differently. And this company, what they did is they said, look, at some point we're going to get back. And in fact, in right now in England, right now, last night I think may have been the first game where their spectators were allowed into some premiership games. And the number was very, very low. It may have only been 2,000. But this company, one plan said, hey, we're going to figure out entertainers or places like the pageant, venues, and teams. We're going to figure out how to help you if you start bringing people back in, but on an incremental basis. And one day it might be 2,000. The next day it could be 3,500. A week after that it could be 4,000. How are you going to figure that out? How do you do the spacing? How will this work? How will you sell tickets? And when you begin to, from a sports entertainment standpoint, think about that a little bit, it can get a bit overwhelming. But I want to show you this video from one plan because it was a very creative venture, and you can go ahead and roll it right now.
Understanding your venue seating capacity with social distancing is a complex task. Taking a percentage approach doesn't take account of critical factors such as seat size and arrangement, gangways and access in and out of rows, how people buy tickets in singles, pairs, triples or more, and is brush past allowed. Understanding the social distancing requirements and measurements is also complex. Where does the distancing start? All this considered, there are over 100 trillion possible combinations of where to seat people for a typical size seating section. One plan's seating goal assessment takes all these variables and calculates the best possible combination. The model can be run to maximize occupancy or to maximize revenue. For example, you may want to achieve maximum occupancy in a sponsor or friends and family section, but for hospitality and general admission, maximizing revenue may be the priority. One plan deliver both, and different approaches can be taken from section to section. Once the venue is set up in the system, multiple reruns of the model can be undertaken to test scenarios and take account of any operational updates or changes to social distancing requirements. Once tickets go on sale, the model can be adjusted to take account of actual ticket sales, then rerun to ensure you maximize your seating capacity and still maintain the social distancing requirements. Contact us today at hello@oneplanevents.com to maximize your venue capacity.
One plan has had quite a bit of success, not only in Europe and in Asia, but also in the United States. The Barclays Center, for example, in New York, they've hired one plan. And I was struck as someone whose life's work has been in sports and entertainment, but absolutely ticket sales it's just been at the core of what I've been about. I mean, I really never did think that there might be 1 trillion kind of combinations. And in fact, I tend to try to not run every type of scenario. I just sort of go, look, forget selling singles, let's sell pods, and we'll do it 2, 4s, and 6s, and that's it. How do we sort of figure that out? But nevertheless, there are some box offices and some teams and places like the Compassion Theater that could go, you know what, we're just kind of not set up for this. Thanks for helping us, One Plan. And so One Plan is an example of job opportunities for the students that go through Webster University, and they're able to graduate. What they've got to be able to do when they go to work for One Plan is sell to the teams and the leagues and the venues, give them the value proposition for using us, be able to talk intelligently about it, play a video like this, make sure they're able to easily run through a variety of scenarios and talk intelligently about how do we do this. And you know what this is effectively? This isn't talking about Goldschmidt, okay? And it's not talking about free agency. It's basically the business of sports and entertainment at its core, and that's how do we make money? How are we the most efficient at it? We don't want to leave any money on the table. We want to be able to follow the different rules from city to city to city to city. And I found it to be quite interesting and really a good story amidst COVID. This next slide, and I'm going to start, I'll move fast now. I don't know how much time I have with you. But this is an example. I don't know if you can quite see this character. Well, it's a character, it's a device. There's a globe up here, and then right here, it looks like somebody's eyes, and they've got a baseball cap on. And what this is a stadium temperature scanner. And what I found really interesting about the company that produces this type of a system is that this device, if all of us from all of our high schools decided we're going to jump on a bus and we're all going to go down and go see a Cardinals game, we're going to get off and go in gate 4, whatever it might be. This system is so sophisticated, it can pick up each one of us, every one of us. It can video us, and it can actually look at our foreheads and determine what our temperature might be. Now, that's good. That's a good thing to be able to do, because if I'm with you and then I begin to spike a fever, and I don't even know that I'm at the beginning stages of what potentially could be COVID-19, I don't know, but I'm starting to spike a fever, having a system like this in place really helps from a marketing standpoint, from a sales standpoint. Now, I'm not sure if the Cardinals and the Blues would subscribe to something like this. But what effectively you do is someone from an operational standpoint, pull me on a line and go, hey, sir, I just want to let you know you're starting to spike a fever here. I'm going, I didn't really know that. Well, you kind of are. And so we just think that it's better that you don't come in, go home, get some attention. Now, that's good for me on a singular basis. Thanks for doing that. And maybe there'll only be 15 of us that get selected out of the entire X number of people that are coming to that game that day. But what's really good for you is calming others down from a sales standpoint to go, look what the Cardinals and the Blues are doing. From a marketing standpoint, they are working, okay, to make things as good as they can be at that ballpark. And that lowers one of the barriers to entry. Maybe not for you, but maybe someone who has a lot of money and they're older and they're really worried about getting COVID. They may have had to deal with it in their family, lost someone, or it got really dicey. They're not going to spend money. I'm not doing that. So you see, you can use this kind of technology to be helpful from a marketing standpoint, and it's also from a practical standpoint too. The value proposition of the scanner is this. If we go to the next slide, if you'll jump to it, you're going to see this lady here. The scanner is pointing out that her temperature it's normal. It's 36. I guess it's 36.3 degrees centigrade, and also that PPE is detected. Over here, it's actually a heat map showing where's that heat coming from. That device is so sensitive that it's able to pick up right under her forehead. On her arms, that device can pick up, and along with doing it with 1,000 people at the same time, what her temperature is, and again, that PPE is detected. So the venues, okay, protect workers and fans. They can be seen doing so, and that marketing advantage provides comfort to fans. And the other thing you can do, you can sell it to a sponsor. Maybe you're selling it to BJC, SSM, Walgreens, CVS, someone that wants to take care of you. We're happy to sponsor this to make sure we're taking care of all Cardinal fans, and that's our approach to everyone. And you get where I'm going with this. This is the kind of device, okay, that can be very, very meaningful, and if there are job opportunities associated with it. That's what's sort of cropped up because of COVID. So we'll go to the next slide. I'm going to get into music for just a second, and then we'll just about be done. You understand, excuse me. Sorry about that. It's that mule breath that's jumping in there and really giving me a hard time. So music, okay, has been devastated. There's nobody road tripping. The SoFi Stadium where your Rams, okay, play, that beautiful new building, okay, that is in Los Angeles, home to the Chargers and home to the Rams. The very first event they were supposed to do in the summer was Taylor Swift was going to open that event. Well, heck no, you're not going to open that event. You can't play anywhere, anything in California. In fact, I'm pretty sure that there's this team called the San Francisco 49ers, and I think that they had to get on the road and play some of their games in Arizona because California's saying, we're shutting it down. You're not playing here. You're not playing it. You're going someplace else. Well, at any rate, from a concert standpoint, there are all of the artists that are either sitting at home, right? Or maybe they're in a studio someplace. But their main revenue stream for the majority, by far the majority of the artists, are ticket sales. It's why they do 50 and 70 and 80 and 100 city tours. And there are buses associated. So they start in the East Coast and then they work their way. It could be, who knows, they're in Jersey one night, then they're in Philadelphia, then they decide to go to Pittsburgh, then they're in Columbus, then from Columbus to Cincinnati, then they're in Indianapolis, and I could route it all over if I needed to do that for you, but you get the point. And then each night, they go from city to city to city to city to city, and that's what they do. Their life's work is playing music so they can make money. That's what it is they do. So they're not doing that any longer. So Topeka, as an example, what they decided to do is they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get these artists that are sitting back and doing nothing, and we're going to connect them with you. Those that might want to see them. Now, it's going to be virtual, but they came up with a really cool way to bring artists together with their fans, and their tagline is real, authentic connections. And I want to show you an example of it right now. We'll play it. It's pretty interesting.
Hey, what's going on, dog? Happy anniversary, y'all. Thank you so much.
Justin, you can jump to the next slide now. It was some of this stuff was, yeah, thank you. It goes on forever, so you can feel free to go to the next one. Well, the reason I wanted to show that to you was this was an entrepreneurial effort. Now, look, I don't know who most of those folks are, and I don't know that I even have the coin that I would want to give up to have that kind of a connection. But that's me, and that doesn't matter about me. If you understand the market and you can understand who might be out there, then you can exploit that market. And so this Topeka has been doing some of those visits, I think, for $5,000, depending on who the artist might be. But we saw a variety of different opportunities to connect. Yes, you know, it felt very, very, very intimate, and so that was pretty great. Look, with that, I'm just going to really jump through this, and then I'll be finished because I know you got to go. Is it 2:46? When are you out now?
Yeah, I was gonna say we take a picture in a couple minutes and then.
Yeah. So let's go to this next slide, and then we'll cut out, if you don't mind, Justin. Go to this slide because I think it's pretty wild. This gizmo that this man is wearing on his head is pretty doggone cool, and this is an example of Microsoft, who's been working with the NFL, two pretty powerful organizations. Microsoft, NFL, I mean, they're like at the top of their particular industries. And what they're trying to do is bring NFL coverage to life through their HoloLens augmented reality, mixed reality headset. And that's a fancy way of effectively making you an avatar inside a game. And even more than just being an avatar, you become Patrick Mahomes, for example. And not it's like Patrick Mahomes wearing a doggone camera on his helmet or something. It is so immersive that there are probably 30 different camera angles and powerful computer systems that are all going to come together. And then if you take on what it's like to be Patrick Mahomes in real time, and you have this headset on and you look left, you can see down the left what's going on. You can see his line down the left. You look up like this, you can scout out where the safety might be. Where's that linebacker making a move? You can turn around and you can see who's behind you. You see a Tyreek Hill's right on. What's he doing? You go over there, see Andy Reid. It's that sophisticated, and although they're not there yet, if this comes together like they desire it to come together, they're going to be asking you to please step up and reach into your pocket and pay for more. Pay for such an immersive experience that you're going, I'm never going to watch this like I was watching it before. I'm going to be deciding on Tyreek Hill. So I can't even verbalize how it would work other than I can play you one of the evenings. It's pretty sophisticated right now, but this is pretty cool and pretty creative. And COVID has accelerated the research and development into a program such as this. So look, we'll skip through these. This is the Oura Ring. At this stage, basically, I'm finished. One more if you want to go to it. I come back, here's my clothes. If you're interested in this sports and entertainment, my friend Austin works for the St. Louis Blues. He's hanging out next to something called the Stanley Cup. It's one of the ways that I try to pull you back into the reason that I'm here. And the reason I'm here is I wanted to offer something meaningful to you, but I also want you to know about Webster. And because you probably weren't thinking about us. Maybe you were, but you probably weren't. So I'm here just to sort of see if you might be interested. If you are, and I'd love it if you are, I'd be delighted if you filled out a little piece of paper. You could do it now. I'll give you a pen you can keep, so it's COVID proof, so to speak. And if you don't want to fill it out, it's okay. I bet most of you know where you're going to go anyway. But that's my presentation, folks, and I'm ready to take any questions or wrap up, based on what you want me to do.
Yes, so we have a quick question.
Yeah, we got here. Yeah, I'd say, yeah, I'd be up for it.
Okay.
Yeah, so